evening, here's top news newsletter starting with headlines. President al-Assad meets Bogdanov, receives message from President Putin. Syrian army continues tightening noose around terrorist snake. Iran blast powers regional allies for instrumental use of terrorism. We don't take no for an answer. CIA torture must be investigated. President Bashar al-Assad received yesterday a special envoy of the Russian President, Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov, and the accompanying delegation. Bogdanov relayed an oral message from Russian President Vladimir Putin on bilateral relations, the standing cooperation between the two countries, and Russia's continuing support for the Syrian people. The Russian envoy briefed President al-Assad on the meetings he held recently as part of Russia's efforts to create suitable conditions to put an end to terrorism in Syria and launch a comprehensive inter-Syrian dialogue, away from any foreign interference. President al-Assad asserted that Russia always stood on the Syrian people's side and that it proved its support for people's right to self-determination and its respect for state sovereignty and international law, saying that Syria is confident that any Russian political action will be based on these principles. Syrian army continued to tighten the noose around foreign-backed terrorist groups in several areas across the country, inflicting heavy losses upon them. Syrian army killed and injured scores of terrorists in Al-War neighborhood, Masaid and Ruhum, in the area of Jebel Jarrah in the countryside of Hom's central province. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Jawad Zarif lashed out the world powers for using terrorism and extremism as a tool to attain their goals. He said that the developments in the past 3 years, especially injecting violence and extremism into the Iraqi and Syrian territories, were aimed at overlapping the interests of Syrian international and regional actors through making an instrumental use of violence and extremism. He added that the use of terrorism and extremism has backfired, and those who initiated such moves have now come to realize that they have engaged themselves into more than others. Russia is ready to arrange a U.S.-Syrian meeting in Moscow if Damascus asks, RIA Nosativ quoted Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov as saying, "If Syrians want to meet in Moscow, then we will discuss this issue with U.S." He said on Wednesday. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said earlier that Washington should coordinate the fight against Islamic State militants in Syria through direct contacts with Bashar al-Assad government. Al-Qaeda in Yemen says U.S. responsible for the death of hostages in raid. Al-Qaeda in Yemen has blamed Washington for the death of U.S. and South African hostages killed in failed rescue attempt by U.S. forces. Reuters reported the U.S. president and his government could have at least negotiated the militants' demands, said Nasser bin Al-Ansi representing the group. His comments appeared in video published on Thursday by the site intelligence group, which monitors Islamic militants. Despite our warning to him not to act foolishly, the U.S. president chose a military solution which failed before and failed once again. Al-Ansi said American journalist Lucky Summers, 33, and South African teacher Bey Korki, 56, were shot by the kidnappers during the raid on Saturday in the Araid Wadi Abdan district in Shauba. The release of the so-called CIA torture report will likely create momentum that will lead to justice, UN Special Rapporteur for Torture Juan Mendes told RT. He said the UN said that each torturous act must be investigated. The demanding report on CIA torture has forced Poland to admit it hosted a secret American prison, with former President Kwasniewski coming forward with the revelation. However, Kwasniewski claimed that Polish officials were not informed to the torture tactics being used in the secret jail. Mendes insisted that countries complicit in the CIA torture need to carry out their own investigation. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nibal Nadi. Good night.